Wait till I go around.
That's my breakfast. You should eat your breakfast.
I know,
Your breakfast.
Hi. We have our spring retreat coming up.
We do. It is next month. It is, 5 weeks away?
And we're getting questions. And so Jen and I have been promising to do this video forever. So here it is.
We want to talk about how to pack for a retreat. And this can be depending on whether the retreat is fairly local all the way to are you flying to get there. Mm-hmm. We have been to several. I should say
most of them.
We host a lot of retreats. I attended my first retreat as a guest last year.
Which I flew to, and I didn't know what the projects were. I had gotten a little bit of a packing list, and that's what I knew. And so I have that added experience now. And so we want to go over what to pack and maybe how to pack. Yes. Okay. So, Sari's is putting this on our website this morning. This is our retreat packing list for our spring retreat that Allie sends out to all of our attendees. You will notice it is short.
This is not multiple pages. It's not even a full page.
It's like 16 items.
Mostly decorative.
And that's, and while we do bring a lot of stuff to our retreat, we need to keeping it simple is huge because as many of you know who have a sewing room at home, there's a lot of stuff in there.
There is a lot of stuff.
And when I go to a retreat, I usually have a space about this big for me. And my sewing room can't fit.
No.
In a space this big.
But we need to make sure that we are staying kind of within our space so that we aren't encroaching on other people.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to store your bins under their feet.
Yes. So,
maybe if you have a really good friend going with you.
Make friends. Jen and I shove our stuff into each other's spot all the time. But
we do.
My sister,
and then we move it back. Like, she goes up to prep for dinner, and I'm like, take your crap back.
Yeah, shove everything back over here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number one, we're going to go over this list really fast. Number one is a sewing machine. By sewing machine, I'm going to add two things to that, a power cord and a pedal.
Yes.
If you forget those things, you will be sad.
You will be sad. And it's not something a shop can easily replace for you at a retreat.
At all.
But they're so easy to forget.
And it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you click sewing machine, pedal, power cord. Essential.
Absolutely necessary. Also, if you have more than one sewing machine, please bring a smaller one.
Yes, the smaller of the two is better.
You know,
your 800 series Bernina is fabulous. It might be big for a retreat.
It might take your whole table.
And so, and usually you can get an idea from whoever's hosting your retreat how much space you're going to have.
So we will usually tell you about how much space you have.
But if you have the smaller machine, is going to be happier.
Yes, and you will be
for a lot of retreats. Now, if you're at a retreat where you get this huge, gigantic table because it's at a retreat center with 8 people, bring whatever machine you want. But if you're at a bigger retreat with a lot of people,
yes.
The smaller machine's better. Bobbins, critical. You don't need a million, but 1 or 2 extra are always good.
A few extra bobbins are great.
Thread, and if you don't know the projects, neutral threads.
Neutral threads.
Gray, cream.
So when I pack for our retreats, and I might pack like 6 different projects because I have to demo all kinds of things.
2 threads.
If I need a different color thread or a specific thread for that project, the spool of thread gets tossed in with that project box. So like this last retreat, I got to make, and I finally got to use my neon orange, Tula Pink Ortho. And I tossed that in the box with the other fabric that I had already cut for that project. So you don't need to bring mounds of threads.
Every thread in your collection.
Bring threads specific to your project and maybe a neutral light and a neutral dark for what's given to you. I know when we host a retreat,
we think about that ahead of time.
We think about it ahead of time with our projects.
And if you're going to need a specialty thread, we provide it.
We will provide it.
Otherwise, the neutral thread should be fine.
Like, I'm thinking this retreat, if we have you do some quilting on your domestic machine, neutrals are going to be just fine. Because I know what fabric line we're using for that, and we plan accordingly.
Yeah.
So, don't bring all your threads.
Yeah, please don't bring your whole thread box. That's too much.
Because you've got one packet, you've got to carry it all in, you've got to store it in your space, and you've got to carry it all out.
So we're going to get to
that stuff in a minute.
Yes. So
Tools and attachments
and
for
attachments.
the machine. Basic stuff if you know you're going to need a walking foot or something.
a screwdriver to change your foot.
Yeah, just those couple basic tools, please. You don't need everything.
You don't need all
ever
your tools, but you do need those basic tools and attachments that you're going to use. I always bring a walking foot because
I never know, and
You never know.
It's useful. So that's
and
the only extra
it's,
foot I
it's
always
not
bring.
bulky. I bring a walking foot and my 1/4-inch foot. When I went to the retreat at Moda, they told us to bring a zipper foot.
I was gonna say, a zipper foot would
So
be my
I
other
did.
one.
Yeah.
But
But a lot of times I don't even use a zipper foot for zippers.
I'd say I so rarely do that.
So
Okay, next, a rotary cutter. Bring your cutter.
change your blade before you come.
Have a sharp blade.
That being
Bring your rotary
said,
cutter before you come.
if you do need to change your blade at the retreat, make sure it's disposed of safely. Our fall retreat, I came home with 6 used blades because I became the disposal person,
Which is fine.
which is totally fine.
because you need a safe place to dispose of
We
the
do
rotary
not
blade.
just throw that in garbage cans at places where we don't know who's taking out the trash.
Yeah, because someone's gonna slice their hand open and it's gonna be sad.
It's not going to be good.
A cutting mat. By cutting mat, we mean small.
Okay, we're talking like 12 by 18-ish cutting mat. This
9 by
is
12. About as big as I would take to a retreat.
Don't go bigger.
Usually, the host of your retreat, we always bring big mats for big cutting. For small cutting at your station,
Generally,
This is big
when I'm
enough.
cutting at a station, I'm squaring up
small things.
little
So,
things.
a smallish cutting mat. Next on the list is rulers. You guys, don't bring every ruler you own.
And I
It's
own
not necessary.
all the rulers.
I do. I own all the rulers, and I use all the rulers when I'm at home. But for a retreat, I'm gonna bring the rulers I know I need
So
for my projects.
I look at my projects. So I had one where I knew I needed to be able to cut. They were 8 at a time half square triangles on like 10-inch squares.
So you knew you.
So
needed
I
a
brought
longer
myself
ruler
a 2.5 by 18.
because you know you're gonna need that diagonal.
But I brought that and then my like 4.5-inch square.
Now,
That's what I brought.
if I'm gonna pick rulers for projects I don't know are coming, these are the rulers I'm bringing: a 6 by 24 or
Yep.
6.5 by 24. That way I can cut with the fabric anything. About a 6.5 inch square,
Yep.
and like a 3.5 inch square.
It, honestly, yeah.
Those rulers will do pretty much anything.
Beyond the first 2, everything else is a bonus. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you know you're making these blocks that you need to square up to 10.5, go
Bring
ahead
the
and
10.5
toss that
inch
one
ruler.
in.
But if I'm planning ahead and I don't know what the retreat projects are, that'll do it. Those rulers will do it.
They'll do it. Plus, you can always pair them up.
Yeah.
So sometimes I need like an 8.5 inch, and I didn't bring my 8.5 inch. I will butt up.
The 6.5 with the 6.
Well, or borrow someone
borrow.
else's 6.5 and make them friends.
yeah.
But just you don't need to bring all of them. And you guys should see my ruler wall.
There's a
have
lot of
all the
rulers,
rulers.
but we don't bring all the rulers.
We don't need to bring them all.
Pins. Your favorite
Always
pins.
bring pins. Your favorite pins, preferably in something that's easy to transport them in.
A small pressing mat. It's always nice to have a small pressing mat and a small iron at your station.
That way you're
So
not
you don't
getting
have
up
to
for
get
everything.
up everything.
Or we have people, which it's fine, who will chain piece, 150 half square triangles, but then they're using the big iron at one of the ironing stations for a prolonged amount of time. So it's nice to have a little iron. Or if you
just
do
something
need to
fast
do
and
long,
then-
prolonged pressing, let people pop in.
Yeah.
It's good etiquette.
A seat cushion is never a bad idea. You guys, your own chair or a seat cushion. Almost everything I've ever been to is at a hotel or at a retreat center where none of the chairs are
Not high
made
quality chairs.
even the hotels with the nice soft chairs, they're not made to sit in all day. Okay, they're not made for great posture. And so some sort of cushion for your chair. Jen and I bring our own chairs. We stack the 2 of them up inverted and they go in the back of the truck.
Doreen brought one of those like yoga balls with a base.
That was awesome.
That looked awesome.
I know. So the chair situation is really helpful because I can pretty much guarantee, unless you're going to a fancy schmancy retreat center that has sewing chairs for you, you're going to want some sort of addendum to the chair.
Yep.
Okay? And this next one is super important, okay?
Which is
At our spring retreat last year, mine broke
yes.
and I didn't have it and I was sad. It was an LED lamp for your sewing machine. And our spring retreat is at the Riverside Hotel in a room that has beautiful natural light. In fact, we don't let them block off
Yeah,
the
they
room
usually close the windows
because
there.
we want the light.
They're like, don't you want the privacy? We're like, no, we want the light.
We want the light. And despite all of the natural light,
There's not enough light.
there's not enough. I have so many lamps in my sewing room. It's getting ridiculous. My husband laughs at me constantly because there are big lights all
Well,
over the house,
even in my classroom here,
which has tons of
which
natural light.
I mean, we planned the classroom. We really
In
did.
fact, the classroom's
for
too
what
bright
we
for some
want.
people.
But where my seat is in the classroom, I don't have enough light. I brought a lamp from home.
Yeah, because you have the TV behind you, not the window.
Yeah.
So
And the light is in front, not over.
Mhm.
And so,
a small LED, because then it doesn't take too much power and it doesn't get hot. Light where you can get
you
light
can
right
put it
behind
wherever
you.
you want it to be.
And then when it gets, if you're a late night sewer, I don't know about you, but at nighttime when the natural light goes away, if I want to sew, I need light.
Yep.
A lamp is going to be good for you.
And there are a lot of really good foldable, packable, compact lamps.
Yeah.
That you can bring with you. And even a lot that you can charge
I was going to
overnight
say, I
so
bought
that it doesn't take up one of your plug-in
Outlets.
spots.
Yeah.
Outlets, that's the proper term.
the projects that you're working on. We're going to talk about organizing these projects in a minute. We're
Yes,
gonna skip, but
okay.
projects to work on: scissors, snips. You're going to be sad if you don't have those.
Yes, and fabric scissors.
Yeah, something to
Because
cut
you-
your dog ears off or something.
Yeah, if you only have snips, you might be lacking.
Yeah.
So,
Something
but
to cut fabric.
you know,
and
I have
something
a
to
jar
cut thread.
full of scissors on my
I
on my
don't bring
table.
my biggest pair.
I
I
will
bring,
bring
a smaller pair.
a medium to smaller one set.
Yes.
Seam rubber.
Seam rubber. Seam rubbers are your friend.
And are not optional. And the
Yeah.
best way to ensure that you will need one is to not bring it.
If you don't bring a seam rubber, I guarantee you're going to have something big to unpick.
And you'll probably be the first one to need it. So you're going to have to announce to the room that you don't have it.
And that you need to borrow one. So,
But we have made, we have developed healthy relationships with our seam ribbers.
yes, it's
We're
important.
we're very happy. We have a good relationship.
You have a nice seam rubber. That's why you get one that's a cute color, or that's nice to hold, or that doesn't make you want to stab yourself when you see
Well,
it.
that's like the little tiny one that I have to like.
That like
pinch,
comes with the
twist.
machine.
And it's like, use this, and I'm like, my hand's gonna like freeze up.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
So
So nice,
seam
comfortable.
rubber. You guys, that's your basic stuff. Now,
We put a water bottle on there just because stay
you should have a
hydrated.
water bottle. You really should. And because then if it gets spilled, it doesn't spill. My gosh.
Right.
Open cups of water next to everybody's machines and projects are not friendly.
It's
Um,
not a great way to make friends with people at your table.
Something that has a lid and closes is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I don't even take this one.
No, I take one that actually
I
closes.
take mine that I have to open.
Okay. So our spring retreat is at a hotel, and so we don't necessarily, not everyone stays overnight. Our fall retreat is a rooming in retreat
Yes.
where we do stay overnight. Now, what I want to talk about with packing is how to pack this stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Number one, your sewing stuff gets packed separate than your hotel room stuff.
Yes.
Or your
Any of
rooming
your
stuff.
overnight bedroom stuff.
Do not pack the biggest suitcase you own so it can hold everything.
Because
You'll have
they
to
are
drag
going
it
to
in
go
one place
different
and then the other.
places. So pack those things in totally separate containers. Honestly, multiple small bags is way better than one or two big bags.
Seriously, multiple small bags is going to be your friend. I have my sewing machine bag, I have my Notions bag, and then I have my stack of projects.
Mhm.
And then I have my Sew Steady bag that has my Sew Steady table and my wool mat and my rulers and stuff in it too. So
I'm taking at least
I have never
3,
walked into a
4
retreat without at least 4 bags.
for
None of
sewing.
them are big.
No.
Yeah, then I
No.
have my big duffel bag for my room, but that's different. So, smaller, manageable things to carry, especially if you're older and carrying is harder. We have a lot of ladies that bring collapsible wagons to wheel all their stuff in and then collapse it or put it away so that then they can wheel it all out.
Yep.
But whatever it is, you need to be able to lift whatever's there.
Right.
Okay, and if you're coming to one of our retreats, we're always happy to help you, but you need to be able to lift what you bring.
Yes. we're not necessarily going to unload your trunk.
I'm not unloading your. I mean, I love you guys, but I have other things to set
Well,
up. for
not
you.
only that, we've been there all day.
Did I buy the exact same phone case as you, just in a different color?
Yeah, sure
Okay.
did. By the way, just so you know, the edges are going to wear off.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It was $11.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why it's going to wear off.
Sorry, I got distracted. As I did.
So we're going to pack sewing goods separate from either our
Sleeping goods.
room goods. So your clothing, your toiletries, etc. That goes to your room.
Although in the sewing stuff, I like to have things like I always have a thing of hand lotion in there. I always have like my chapstick or something
Always
in
a
there,
chapstick.
and my snack bin.
Yeah, I usually have some snacks that are like sewing room snacks. Stuff that doesn't get my
Sorry, I
Hands
grabbed my
dirty.
lotion, so
as long as you grab it, you can put it on. So that kind of stuff can go in there. I might also have like a sweatshirt or a
if it's
cardigan or
warm or
something
cold.
because
temperature
temperatures
fluctuates. And
it's always cool, even in the hotel, when we go in first, and then the room gets populated with people and irons,
and
and
then
then
it
all of
gets
a sudden
hot.
it's really warm. So layers are a good idea.
they are
I'm like spring and fall, both of them. Layers are a good idea.
always.
I mean, even in June, though we did all of our sewing at night at that retreat, but it was.
You never know. AC can kick on and get a little excessive. You never
It's true. It's true. I was in Texas in one of the rooms. I was like, why am I cold?
know. Well, we went to a freaking market in Texas, and it was hotter than Hades.
I know.
Outside and inside, we were all freezing to death.
Yes.
People sold coats in Texas
Yes.
in October or whatever it was because it was so darn cold indoors.
Yep. So, plan some layers. It's going to make you more comfortable. And, as much as, like, the hotel can try and adjust the temperature, in places where we have control of the thermostat, we can try and adjust the temperature. Your optimum body temperature might be different than your neighbor's optimum body
So
temperature.
between the perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal women, our body temperatures are
Not the same. So we need to take some accountability for our own comfort.
And my mom, who is always warm,
She has a little fan.
her lamp has a fan.
Well, and I even bought one because I'm getting older, It plugs into my USB charger. So the same one that does my phone, I can plug in a little lamp and it just cools me a little bit during the day.
So yeah, understand that
So
no
if
room
you
full
run-
of 50 people is going to be optimal for all
You.
50 people.
So if you run a little warm, those little fans are like $8.
So cheap.
Okay. So that's something,
You can do that
if you
too.
run a little cool, plan an extra layer. But this is stuff I want you to think about before you come. Because it is going to impact how much you enjoy the retreat. If
Yes.
you are not comfortable, you're not going to enjoy it very much.
It's a lot harder.
So we want to do that. We talked a little bit about, bringing your projects. We want to talk about what kind of projects are really good to bring to a retreat
How to bring them.
and how to bring them. So when we prepare to go to a retreat, we're bringing our own projects to work on. So like when we host retreats, we do give out projects,
We give out
but we
projects.
also expect you to bring some of your own to work on. Ideally, those would be cut out prior to coming.
Please, as much as humanly possible, cut ahead of time. Partially because at any retreat you go to, the big cutting stations and the big pressing stations, there's not one per person. Okay?
No.
And so if you are going to spend the next 3 hours cutting out a quilt, you're taking up the big cutting station for a long period of time.
Something that might be meant
And-
for 20 people to use is
And
used by one
while
person.
the other ladies might not say anything to you as the host, they say things to me. And or even if they don't say anything, they're frustrated and it affects their experience. It's
So just in a
If
way to be
possible-
considerate for other people,
have your project cut
we
before you
would
come.
recommend that projects are cut out ahead of time. Now there are great ways to transport them all cut out. I have used the art bin boxes. They're like 12. They were scrapbooking
The
boxes.
scrapbooking boxes.
They're like
I used to
12
buy them
inch
at
ones
Costco
by
in 6
3.
packs and stuff.
They were fabulous. We also
those.
will use
I
our
use
design
design
boards
boards. I
and
have
stack them on top of each
Everything
other.
laid out on design boards stacked. I put them together with rubber bands. One time when
Sherry-
I had itty bitty piecing, I used Sherry's method and I saran wrapped this sucker.
Sherry got one of those saran wrap
Like the movie
rollers.
saran wrap.
We ought to get those and put them in swag bags.
You totally should. Anyway, so like
There are great ways to transport your
Pre-cut.
project already cut out.
Plus, when it's on the design boards, this is my favorite. First of all, Jen and I, we're ADD in our family, okay? It's a family character trait. And
Yeah.
so working on one thing all the time is hard. And so I get bored. So I'll just move to the next board and the next project that's right there. And then the pattern's sorted with the project. The blocks are all laid out, so I don't have to.
I don't have to read
And then I can
words.
just chain piece and move back and forth. And
I can jump between projects without losing my place.
yeah,
Which
is
really
fun,
nice.
especially when I'm going to spend 9-10 hours a day sewing.
I like to be able to mix it up. You
So
know,
I really like the design boards. If there's bigger things I need, then the bins are great. I'm a design board person for the most part.
Yeah. So like right now, I just cut out one that right now it's not ready to be laid out in blocks, but it's a bajillion, like 2.5 inch and 3 inch squares.
Yeah.
So right now it's in a bin. Once those
I'll get
Once
made
those
into
are all
half-square
made
triangles.
into the half square triangles and stuff, then I can lay it out on a board. You know, but right now it's in bin form, not board form, in my organization.
It all depends on how you're gonna be.
where we're at on it.
Where
But
you're
like
at on
I
the
brought my
project.
Highland cow totally laid out on 3 different boards,
And then you made it in a matter of hours.
and then I made that the first evening. So there are different ways you can plan on it. The other thing we would say when planning a project is you want to bring ones that don't necessarily need to be laid out over and over again, because there may not be space to lay out a quilt and decide what goes where within that sewing room.
So if you're gonna bring a bunch of blocks to do a scrappy memory quilt or something, and you want to be able to lay it out, you might have to go back and forth to your room. We try and have our next one. We're gonna have some design walls that we bring, but once again, you're sharing with a lot of people, and so
Something that I've seen done, I think Stacy did it at her first retreat. She came with us. Once she got all the blocks done, she went into her room that night, laid it all out, and labeled each of them from where
you
they
number
went.
them. So
And then she came back the next day and put it together. So that's a really good option. But it's something to consider when you're
Understanding there's
thinking of
not
your project.
necessarily space to lay things out too
Because,
much.
I mean, I'm a design wall kind of girl. I love my design wall.
Yeah.
I rely on it quite heavily.
But most of the projects I do at retreat don't specifically are ones that aren't going to require that. I'm either going to put it together exactly as the pattern says,
Right.
or I probably don't bring it, honestly.
Or I'm still in a phase of putting the blocks
yeah,
together,
I'm
and
just
I know I'm
doing
not
all the
gonna
tiny
finish
piecing, and so it
all
doesn't
blocks before I'm done.
Yeah.
So, just another thing to consider, because we want you to have a good time, and if
Yes.
you know you have to walk back to your room between every
matter. Row.
2 seams,
You might get sad, grumpy,
frustrated,
and
we're just tired.
And being the host, we have a tendency to feel bad, like we totally failed, and so yeah, just as
So we're just giving this information to try and help other people have a
positive experience.
really positive experience with their
retreats are
retreats,
supposed to be fun.
because that's what we are always going for. We want people to have a fabulous time. We want you to come home from this having enjoyed the the time
Experience.
just to create
And
the
around other
creation
fun
happening
people.
around you. I mean, one of my favorite things about working in the shop and teaching in the shop and hosting these retreats is getting to see what everybody else comes up with.
Yes,
I know, like, I try and make all the things. I can't.
I make a lot of things, but
I
can't
make
all
so
the
many things, but I can't make all the things. But it's fun to get to be a part of the things everyone else makes.
Yeah.
And to get to see that come together. And so that's one of the things I love about retreats is we get to show what everybody's working on. And it's great. So we want this to be a really positive experience for you wherever you go to a retreat. And so just from our experience, this is what we think helps make the preparation. Good preparation can make for a better experience.
That's really what it comes down to. And if you've never been to a retreat before, you should try one someday.
Absolutely. Don't be
there-
scared. You are not going to be the only person that shows up knowing nobody.
Happens every time. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone leave without a friend.
No, I've never seen anybody go home without having collected a lot of phone numbers and added a lot of Facebook friends or something. So even everybody has made connections, which is fabulous.
Which is fun. But retreats are fun. They're more fun if you're prepared for them.
Yes.
Like anything. It's like a vacation.
Right?
It's way more fun if you have a plan and you know where you're going.
Right. And how you're going to
And
get
that you packed accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go on a beach vacation and forget a swimsuit. That would be disappointing.
Right. We just want to be prepared. And
Yeah.
then we can have a great time and, leave any of your concerns at home. You don't need to bring them. Life is happy. We're only sewing. Nobody's judging your work. And if they are, I'll tell them to shush.
Tell them not to.
Because that's not how we roll.
It's not why we're there. We're
We
there to
are
have a good
creating.
time.
And having a great time.
All right. Well, that's
That's our
it for
retreat
retreats.
spiel.
If you ever have questions, ask us. We're happy to try and answer them. Like I said, my experience with those retreats is hosting,
Right, we host retreats.
but I'm also technically an attendee, I guess.
Well,
But-
we know what makes our experiences better too, as just when we do get the time to
But
just
part of
sit
it though
and
is
sew.
like Jen and I, we sew faster than the average bear apparently, and we really like being productive at these retreats. Okay, we do, and these are the things that help us to be the most productive while also
having all of our other
playing
responsibilities of hosting and helping with cooking and
whatever else,
all
is
the
going
other
on,
needs.
teaching, running the shop at the retreat, all those things.
I still want to go home with several finished projects.
I do. I always do.
You know,
And
that's
I
why
think I
I
finished
had to
4 or 5
throw in
retreats.
another. I had to throw in that last 3-yard quilt because I'm like, I gotta have something finished.
I know. I bring fast finishes, and then so our fall retreat, I brought itty bitty piecing.
Yeah.
I did. Literally, it was tiny. I brought some fast finishes. I did my 3-yard quilt there. In fact, I did 2 3-yard quilts there. And I did a checkmate quilt, so a buffalo plaid. And I did a Lux Minky throw.
Right.
Okay.
Fast finish.
So I had lots of fast finishes. And at the same time, I mixed that up with some tiny piecing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean, and I had like the 3-yard quilt that was simple. I had my Highland cow, which was less simple but not hard. I mean, the hardest part of that was cutting it.
what you did ahead of time.
And also a foundation paper piece mariner's compass.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else I worked on. It's not registering.
It's been a while.
So, but I do really like to mix it up
Mhm.
at a retreat. I like to have that mixture of simple and not so simple, and just to keep me energized and going through the day, because sewing all day might
Be tiring.
tiring for you, especially if it's all working on the same thing. And sometimes the project is just being naughty and we need to put it in timeout for a minute.
And do something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's also helpful. Anyway, I
All right.
hope this helps. Any
Absolutely.
questions?
Let
hit
us
up.
know. We will do our best to answer them. We hope that whatever retreat you go to, you have a fabulous time.
Yeah.
Because
Whether
that's
it's
what
ours
they're
or
for.
somebody else's.
That's what they're there for.
That's what they're for. We do still have openings for our fall retreat this
Right.
year.
Spring is full.
Spring's full. It's coming up.
It's actually got a long wait list too. So
Yeah. But fall's
fall has a few
Um,
spots left. So you can come hang out with us for fall. That one's more like our camp out sleepover. It's not really camping out. The bed's nice.
It's a sleepover.
But it's a sleepover in
the
an
one
old
where
haunted
people
inn.
sleep till midnight or 2 a.m. and
You
other
know-
people get up at 4 a.m. and start sewing.
That's and that's what I love.
You
about
can't do that at the hotel.
You can't do it at the hotel, but that's what I love about the fall retreat is, I mean, people are in their PJs and they are just.
It's the really friendly, comfy, cozy.
It is
Like we're gonna be friends.
we're gonna have to because we don't get to leave. I mean, you could go for a walk, but we're all sitting down eating dinner together, so it's good.
So it's good things. Retreats are good. They're better when you're prepared.
Absolutely.
So
All right. Well, have a great week. We will see you all next time.